I want to talk about Game of Thrones, and I want to talk about it based on, letting go of an old friend. Much like seeing Lorelai and Rory at Luke's diner, or seeing the friends with the newborn twins leave the apartment for the last time, or seeing Will Smith leave the mansion in Beverly Hills for the last time. So again, we watch a series finale of a series that a lot of people have followed, and a series that actually had a gap year ahead of the last season, the last 6 episodes. And I can't recall there ever been so much fuzzing and, not being on Twitter or not being on social media ahead of an episode, or actually any episode during this season of Game of Thrones. But there was also a sort of a respect, give it at least, 24 hours before you start talking about it publicly and notify people, because, unlike the way it used to be many years ago when things would turn up, here in Sweden a week later and you wouldn't have an idea about things because, there was no internet, there was no one to spoil, maybe someone at some point brought a videotape back home and you could see the episode of whatever series it was maybe like 2 or 3 days early, and that would be like, whoa. But it does feel like saying goodbye to an old friend. I can't even remember which year this show started airing, but I guess if this is season 8, it must have been 9 years ago, and that's a pretty hefty time for any series. My personal thoughts after the last episode, especially following episode 5, which was, to say the least, dramatic. It was kind of nice in a way to have like a somber, respectful epilogue parting, even though there were obviously things to the story happening in the first half of the show, but it wasn't like episode 5. It was more like, there's a lot of politics in this last episode. I mean, my theory was actually that the person sitting on the throne at the very end would have been Varys, because he was the one who, regardless who sat on the throne, always cared about the realm. But well, that didn't happen, and I don't know, Bran. And I do appreciate the how the series have sort of revolved around Tyrion, how he has been pretty much at the center of most things happening, even though the Stark family has been the protagonist throughout the series. And I've also realized that the show has also been kind of a soap, in a way that you've been rooting for certain people, and then you've been rooting against certain people, and you've been rooting for them again. Like Cersei, you felt sorry for her every now and then. And Jaime Lannister, the same thing. And one of the things I really appreciated was that, episode 5 of the last season was so over the top. People get a knife through their head and they still keep, living. And I actually thought that Cersei and Jaime would just rise out of the rubble. So it was kind of nice to finally see something slightly realistic, because if you're buried under, a mountain of bricks, you will probably be dead. But in a way, it kind of all worked out for the Stark kids and half kids. Yeah, it was an honorable end to the series, definitely. Although nothing in the last series, not even episode 5, can really top, the Red Wedding. So there you have it. Another series has said goodbye, and who knows which series will be the next one of those big ones to say goodbye. I mean, obviously the Big Bang Theory had a series finale, but that show only started having actual drama, when there was 3 episodes left. Like, drama as in not everything is funny. But yeah. What are your thoughts on Game of Thrones? Have you watched Game of Thrones, or have you just watched my pretty face talk about it for the last, I don't know, a couple of minutes? Let me know what you think about last season. Let me know what you think about the series. Like, what are some of those memorable moments throughout the series? And good talk.